Hi there and welcome to Celeb Hut. It seems to be Katt Williams is once again at it. Again, attempting to uncover Diddy for putting a head out on Wendy Williams when she attempted to uncover him for being on a DL now. Right? When we felt that Katt Williams was finished spilling all the tea he could spill on Diddy and his supposed violations. He is currently approaching with these new claims about how Diddy has purportedly been attempting to unalive Wendy Williams since the 90s, all since she spills some insane tea on him. Now everyone realizes that Wendy is the sovereign of spilling tea, and she's certainly famous for that. Yet Diddy feels that she went excessively far, and as per Katt, he purportedly attempted to take Wendy out as a result of it. Now this makes sense of why Wendy and Diddy have been offs as far back as we can recollect in any event. When they attempted to make up, yet that is not all that computer-aided design needed to say, since he uncovered how Diddy has purportedly been sending individuals after Wendy for a really long time even after she quit talking on him. This is the most recent series of charges by Katt against Diddy and how he has been pulling off obscure way of behaving for quite a while, and it doesn't appear as though Katt is going to dial back in light of the fact that the subtleties he just uncovered about how Diddy purportedly attempted to take Wendy out is insane radio character. Sometime in the distant past, her name was Wendy Williams, and she was basically copied at the stack for disclosing such, and presently it's completely come full CLE. So the way in which you doing, nobody can at any point say it very much like Wendy, since individuals have essentially been asking for Wendy to get back into the game and to spill the tea on Diddy since he began confronting claims and getting called out for his obscure way of behaving. Could you at any point envision, in the event that the Wendy Williams show was still on right now, kid? Well, it seems to be Katt Williams is at last giving us a brah. Since he's shouting out about Diddy and his strange relationship with Wendy, let me tell you all, Katt is dropping a few serious sensations in what he's talking about. Diddy has got all of us shook. He's guaranteeing that Diddy is supposedly having something to do with Wendy's current situation, asserting that Diddy supposedly attempted to erase Wendy Williams for talking on him now. Assuming you've been watching Wendy before she left her television show, you'd realize that she and Diddy have never precisely been best friends since they've had their reasonable portion of hamburger all through the years. Sure, they attempted to get along quite a while back, asserting that they wiped the slate clean and whatnot. Yet it appears as though that was only for show, in light of the fact that as per Katt Williams, Wendy actually holds resentment against Diddy, and she's been nursing it for good 32 years now, and no indication of giving up at any point in the near future. Yet before we plunge into Katt's most recent disclosures about Diddy, we should rewind a piece and discuss how this entire quarrel began. In any case, you see, Wendy has been nursing this resentment in light of the fact that, as per Katt Diddy, he not just got her terminated from her gig and almost wrecked her vocation, yet she likewise guarantees he put her in a danger. Purportedly, he even had individuals coming after her. Back in the mid-90s, not long after Diddy had sent off his terrible kid record for certain significant burdens moving him in Hollywood like Clive Avis, Wendy additionally found a new line of work at Hot 97 radio broadcast. It didn't take long for strains to ascend among her and Diddy. At the time, terrible kid records bragged a great setup specialists, including enormous names like El Kim, Big Deal, Smalls, Fifth Evang, and the young Lady Bunch Tato, among others. Presently, Diddy utilized Top 97 as a stage to push his craftsmen and get their tracks on the wireless transmissions. So when Wendy began hearing some not exactly complimenting conclusions about him, Diddy got mad now, regardless of terrible kid records being generally new. It was at that point causing disturbances in the business. So normally Diddy wasn't excited about Wendy's reactions now. The experienced thing would have been to plunk down and work things out with Wendy, right? Yet, as we've come to find out about Diddy, tact is an area of weakness for him with regards to managing individuals he sees as operations. So rather than selecting a common discussion, he supposedly set up for Wendy to get bounced by his young lady bunch. Then Toto, I recall that I got off the air one day, and they were all out on the ground floor pausing, and everyone higher up at the radio broadcasts was peering down, egging it on, trusting that something would go down. I wasn't yet hitched, and a sparkling cover shrieked up in his vehicle. I barely all of a sudden realized what I didn't know was going to happen. I'm remaining in the entryway, like what, and I'm in a real sense going to go through now, like what we should battle, cause I'm not one of those kind of broads, and in addition to was three of them you all out, was in there like around mid-afternoon now when day. I generally tend to assume of hitting you gracious, definitely. Like, for what reason did he do that brief? You're thinking you've raised a ruckus around town, marking with a significant record. Bargain and your fantasies of fame are meeting up then out of nowhere. You're getting called up to guard your supervisor since someone put him in a horrible mood for certain words. No doubt that is only one occurrence of how he attempted to involve his craftsmen for stuff that they never pursued. Yet Tato wasn't the ones in particular that became involved with this dramatization. Either Sparkle got the short, another stick too. Once upon a time, when Diddy and Jennifer Lopez were at the center of attention, there was a wild shooting episode. At a club, Diddy got hit with charges taking a gander at some serious time. In a correctional facility underneath, and see those charges evaporated like a phantom, and Diddy walked away without any consequence. Turns out they vanished, because on the grounds that Diddy tossed Sparkle, one of his own specialists who was with him that evening right under the transport, let him accept all negative consequences as per his previous guardian. Diddy supposedly paid observers to affirm against Sparkle during the preliminary. Yet, the wild part, pretty much this is that Awful Kid Records then dropped Sparkle when he was in jail. Sparkle likewise affirmed that Diddy had deceived him in a 2020 meeting, where he said, "Puff, apologize, he was sorry to me for that. When we met in Paris, he said that he might have taken care of it better. Yet he was under a ton of tension from the legal advisors to blame everything on me. So as per Katt, Diddy had a propensity for dealing with his craftsmen like pawns in his game, utilizing them to go about his grimy responsibilities regardless of whether it implied tossing down his own foes. Yet fortunately, Wendy had her then. Sweetheart Kevin Tracker keeping an eye out when all out came a thumping prepared to toss down. Since how about we be genuine, Wendy has a harsh tone yet them legs and them arms. She wouldn't toss no one's hands coups. That is not her thinga going head-to-head against three individuals from all out would have had her in a tight spot looking at hitting you all that we been considering yet you all realize Wendy wasn't going to allow a little to run in that way quieted her down. No, not her, except for assuming that Diddy thought a narrow escape with to plan to quiet her. He had something else coming. Wendy multiplied down, increasing pressure on Diddy, taking considerably more tea than any other time as compensation. And she's been presenting frivolity since the very first moment. And did he become familiar with the most difficult way possible? However, at that he retaliated more earnestly, and he battled dirtier, very filthy several months after she nearly got hopped by Diddy's young lady bunch Tato. She applauded back at him by releasing an image of his child, Justin Combs, playing with his main operation, Suge Knight. And it was so humiliating for Diddy, yet on the off chance that you imagine that the hamburger among Diddy and Suge is extreme. Simply picture what it resembled a long time back. They were right in the center of a huge East Coast versus St. Coast confrontation, let me tell you. All the hostility was thick all around the country. And Diddy and Sheesh had only unadulterated contempt for one another, talking about Diddy. In those days, he was up to speed in his very own dramatization. He was rejecting that he was the dad of Justin, asserting that it wasn't his child and blaming Misa Hilton for attempting to trap him with another man's child. Yet it's wild to imagine that Diddy was tossing Conceal like that when there were reports spreading a boo. Him putting his hands on Misa as per Gene bargain. He wasn't precisely approaching her like a child. He was supposedly putting his hands on her and was supposedly ruthless about it. When M was out there, she was screwing with the man from EPMD. That is the reason Puff First Puff originally, Thump A has It's Totally Wild, that Diddy would try and figure that Misa would pull a trick like that particularly, considering the supposed abuse that she persevered from him only for conversing with Differ. NT folks? Yet? Hello? I suppose that is Diddy for you in every case, speedy to safeguard his picture regardless of the expense. So when Wendy dropped that image of his child, spending time with his greatest, to shook night, it was a significant catastrophe for his inner self. Yet things went from terrible to more awful when reports began twirling that Wendy hadn't considerably juicier get her sleeve one that could truly discolor Did standing presently back in those days, the 1990s even a murmur regarding Nungo rapper sexuality could mean ruin for their profession. And Did he was unable to stand to have that sort of embarrassment on all fours, came the straw that broke the camel's back. Wendy implied on her show that she had some truly harming proof against him. A word on the roads is that an insider spilled the tea to Daddy about what the proof was. Presently, purportedly, Diddy and his group had gone on an outing to some oceanside or island heaven for some wild party with a lot of women, yet there was purportedly one more man in the image, and in addition to any man, assuming you get my meaning. Incidentally, Diddy wasn't precisely pursuing the women on the excursion, since his inclinations were laying somewhere else. Gossip had it that somebody took a pic of him in a compromising circumstance with this said, "Man getting his shorts pulled somewhere," around another man, and that P resembled a ticking delayed bomb prepared to backfire for his entire standing. Great, obviously. Diddy began scrambling and went on the all-out, harm control mode, moving quick to close Wendy down before she could release. Subscribe Celeb Hut for more videos.